Oh, yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tea. I'm your host, Chauncey Anderson.
And I'm your co-host, Mayaka Anderson. And we just want to thank you today for taking the time out to join us at the Tea. We
Yes.
look forward to sharing our thoughts about the Black community, and we look forward to receiving your thoughts and your wisdom as well on the different
Yep.
topics that we'll be talking about.
So true. Ladies and gentlemen, Maya and I would simply like to talk a little bit about ourselves and also discuss why we started the Tea. For me, the tea was inspired by everyday conversation that happened in our household here in Oceanside, California. I learned to be able to share with the one person that I truly loved. The person that I cherish, both in sickness and in health, in the good times and in the bad
In
times.
the bad times too, babe.
Ooh, they were
In the
no,
bad
they
times
we
too.
had tons of good times, but we became inspired. Maya has both a strong desire. She has a drive and determination that's unlike anything that I have ever seen before. And with that, what we wanted to do by her words of power to me, and speaking words of power to her, we want to, by way of the tea, we want to inspire a sincere dialogue with the African community, with the Black community, the African
Yes.
American people,
Yes.
that bring about loyalty, commitment, and just overall love to one another.
Yes, it's definitely. I feel like we're really working towards that as a community, no matter what state or city you live in.
True.
I feel like there's a big movement for us to recognize each other in the community and to start holding each other accountable for what we do. And the tea is a vehicle for that. Like
Right.
my husband Chauncey was saying, is that we have intimate discussions all the time about the
Right.
Black community. Every day we're talking about something, whether it's the like the Black men in the household, and
Yep.
how you feel about the responsibilities there.
True. And also some of the things that we talk about are the Black women in the household and the
Yes.
raising of the children and
Yes.
for the community and where they stand out. Conversations that we've had are the Black elders.
Oh, definitely the
Yeah.
Black elders. I feel like they're being left out, and they have a lot of wisdom
Right.
within their group to give to us. And as my husband always says, Chauncey says, we're becoming the next elders. So we're getting ready to take that torch. And so we have to be very cognizant and mindful of what we do in our
Yep.
community, how we present ourselves, and then what we are teaching the generation behind us. We must be active in our community at all times, not just during political seasons, but at all times. There's something out there that we could be doing to push our community to be better and greater than what it is.
Exactly. The fact of the matter is that the African American community, we are a spiritual people. So that's almost like the very first thing that I always look to
Right.
when it comes to it. I don't care if you're Christian, I don't care if you're Islamic, I don't care if you practice another faith. There's a spirituality about us that we have had
Yes.
since the water's edge. I call it the water's edge moment, when we had become slaves. Our generation during that time before us, they had bonded together. You could hear that they were singing hymnals while they're picking cotton. You could see them go down into the woods and have sermons during a certain amount of time. You even come forward to civil rights slavery, where our two key leaders, whether it was Dr. Martin Luther King or it was Malcolm X, who spoke on some serious topics of just galvanizing the community together. I mean, there are other great historical people, from Marcus Garvey that I can go on to Elijah Muhammad. But the bottom
Right.
line here, in our household, spirituality permeates throughout. And we try to give that off to one another to help us to grow.
Right.
To give inspiration for whatever my wife Maya is doing. there's a support that comes from me. I don't care if I am tired or whatever. I get a text from Maya about anything that she wants to talk about. True.
Even though some of my stuff may be off the rocker, he's like, yeah, okay, let's try it out.
That's my B. She doing what she do, and I can be here watching a game and she'll come in with something and boom, it's there. But next thing you know, I've learned that I have to just listen to her so she can get it out, because that helps to cultivate more inspiration for her. So I'm listening, and before I know it, Maya took off to the back room again, and she back in her world doing her thing, and she'll fly back out here. What do you think about this? And I'm just like, girl, you go. It's so important. Those are the key things that I'm saying. Within our community, we have that ability, both spiritually, creativity, but the fundamental things that we're going to be discussing here are areas of finances also. Those are a huge topic also. Here, just in the world alone, the African American, the Black community.
Yes.
It was in Forbes 2017, there's statistic that came out that we have a spending power. They said that the Black community is the 16th largest community, Jewish, white, and all nationalities. We spend up to $1.2 to $1.6 trillion.
That is just amazing. That when you think about the amount of money that is, and what we could be doing, what we could be building, what we could be investing in, but we're not. And and they were also saying that the average median savings for a Black family is less than $100. That's across the country, $100 to $200. That's all your net worth is. Right. That's all you have. And we have a problem with this facade of looking the part, but not having anything. You're quick to go out and stand in line for Jordans. You're quick to have that Gucci bag or those belts. But when you look inside of your bank account, you have nothing there. You don't have a extra month of rent or mortgage. You're riding around in a fly car, but you're paying more in your car payment than you are where you live. It's just nonsense. And there's no excuses for it, because there's enough information out there. There's enough seminars being taught that you can get the information to be out there to do better. But we have to learn to sacrifice our pride and our ego and understand that there is something more valuable about us than what we put on our backs.
No, I mean, what Maya's saying, that just draws a circle. Like I say again, the basic fundamentals to that is something that I don't believe that has ever really been taught, shared, practiced, drilled, and rehearsed in the Black community.
That is so true.
Where we as men and women, from a very young age, we learn the basics of savings. We understand what a checking account is at the bank. We understand what a savings account. We understand the difference between a bank institution, a credit union. Now, I can tell you real quick, a lot of us know what check advance cashing places are. Yes. Where they take anywhere from 6 to 12% of your check, and you just get that money back.
Yes.
So we haven't even learned the basic fundamentals for investment. Those are just some topics that we have in our household. The other things that we talk about, being married for 3 years, is that love and marriage.
Yes.
After that wedding and that big, after the reception and the honeymoon,
whatever you decided to do, yes,
at the courthouse, to a big reception. What happens after, you come back from that honeymoon?
That's
How do you continue that love, that spark, that everything? Fellas, I'm going to tell you this. My wife, one day, we sat down, and it was just, I say recently, and she told me to pull my smartphone out and started on the calendar. And I'm talking about, I think that was in either July or August. And I filled my calendar up from that point all the way into the new year. Date nights, movie nights, we have a 9-month-old Rottweiler, taking her out to the dog park or to the beach.
Yes.
Those are just different things that she set out on the calendar. Just last week, we went to our first college football game.
Yes, that's right. UNLV versus San Diego State.
Yeah, and the Aztecs got with it. I mean, I'm a UW fan because we from Washington State, but that's another story in and of itself.
Yes.
Those are things in love and marriage that will have just a topic in and of itself by itself. I mean, there are other areas of education.
Yes, education is very important. Even as we're grown and we're not in school anymore, knowledge is key. You should always continue to read. You should always know what's going on. You should always be willing to know something new. And you should be well versed. So no matter who you run into on the street, you would be able to have a conversation. And not a conversation of ebonics and man and all of that. We're better than that. We're smarter than that. We should be able to have a good dialogue with each other and with others so that they can see us in a different light other than what we're portrayed on TV, through our music, even on social media,
Yeah, the certain stereotypes that they try to add to it. It is so funny. I think I had heard, and I don't even know if it was you, Maya, that spoke about it, like you were taking a flight and you were coming back home and it was some young people.
Oh, yeah. Young people in their 20s, all white, in Vegas. And I'm sitting there, waiting to board the plane. Their conversation was about cryptocurrency, about stocks. They're talking about, businesses that they have going on or own or whatever. I mean, these are like 21, 22-year-olds. I've never, and I'm not saying this doesn't exist, but I've never run across, our people sitting, in 20, 21-year-olds sitting talking about cryptocurrency or what they're doing in their business or sharing information. They're always talking about, this, some kind of rap battle or some dancing or whatever, but nothing that is going to progress and push them forward. Another problem we have in our community is holding each other accountable. We want to, it drives me crazy. This is just a pet peeve. It drives me crazy. You get on social media and you see our sisters half dressed or wearing something that, just ridiculous. And then you have other sisters, oh, you go girl, you look good, you have you have courage. What? No, you're wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong. It don't look good, it don't look right. Whatever it is, we need to be able to call ourselves on the foolishness that we see, pump ourselves up in good ways and leave the foolishness alone. I mean, it's just, we have to draw a line somewhere.
And the thing of it is that, again, here on the T, it's not to try to say we're coming with all the answers. That's Zuri. That's the Rottweiler that I was telling you guys about. Sometimes she get off on her own little tangent. But the thing of it is that we're trying to say here, let's share. Let's begin to look at our community. Let's begin to identify what it is as far as a goal that we want to set for ourselves first. The word of God, like, get your house in order.
Get it in order. That's right.
And then begin to talk about those things that we know that are true. It, again, like I say again, to be the most spiritual people that walk this earth, but yet and still we forget about those areas that are most important. It just blows me away that we can put ourselves in so many precarious situations, and then we wonder why sometimes, I work in law enforcement, but we wonder why it's always that we're under attack. They don't want to see us do good, so they're going to look for opportunities or ways to make us act out. But it's also in a way in which, whether you in a three-piece suit, whether you in the, most finest dress, whether I hate to have to say it, these cats, these young men walking around with their pants sagging, or like Maya was saying, the women that wearing very little, they look for ways to
exploit you
and make your situation bad.
Even worse. And we do understand, no matter what we do, our lives are always in danger when it comes to law enforcement. I mean, you could be a businessman, you could be a doctor, and we do understand that those things happen where we are taken down, we are shot down, we're killed for no reason, for no weapons, they do bother us. But we have to make our plight even better within the community also. I mean, there's a responsibility that we hold. They have a responsibility that they try to say that they're upholding.
Right.
But we have to understand this country it's not set up for us.
Exactly.
You know, I see people, oh, we can't do this, but they can. You have to understand when they say, oh, you can go out and do this, they are not talking to the black community.
No.
When they say, oh, you know, you can't wear hoodies, but then you see white people walking through the mall wearing hoodies, and you're like, why? Because that rule wasn't for them, it was for you, and you have to understand that. And no matter how much we post the injustice,
right.
no matter how much we march, no how much we vote or whatever, the bottom line is that these rules and this system was not here to protect you. And I don't care about the 13th, the 14th, the 15th. I don't care how many amendments they put out there. They were not to protect the black community. And that is why it doesn't matter what they do. Yep. That is why you can't call them on anything, because it was never meant for us. And once we get that in our mind and we galvanize together to protect each other,
there you go.
Then the conversation starts to change.
Yep.
Because if you're waiting for them to change something, it's not going to happen.
But that's where it is, as Maya said, within the community. That's where your involvement comes in.
Yes.
With the understanding that you see things or injustices that are going on, but what are you doing within your community?
That's right.
Again, like here in Oceanside, California, your districts and where you live at, who are those leaders that oversee the spending and for the black community? Do you know who those are? Do you go to your town hall meetings?
That's right.
Do you go and sit on your city council meetings?
That's right.
And talk to them? Are you, as a mother or father, if you have children that are in school from pre-K to 12th grade, are you involved in the PTA?
In the PTA.
All of our children are grown and gone. So,
yeah.
I mean, we go over to Animal Keepers for Zuri, and she get like little awesome report cards, but we teach our dog how to do it. But I'm talking about the children. Do we involve ourselves on that level?
That's
irrespective if you're a Republican or a Democrat.
Yes, that's right.
What are you doing to show that your involvement of what you do? Do you know about, you know, if you're a renter, if you're a homeowner, the property taxes, the initiatives that are going on that's gonna, you know, cause things to change in your community? That's the fascinating thing about it. Basically, the African American, the black, or the African in the United States of America, I'm gonna tell you this. Like the Native American, we are a nation within a nation.
Within a nation.
We hold, I mean, like I said again, the spending power to do the things. The funniest part about it is that we don't recognize it. Our mindset is, it's not skewed, but we're all for ourselves.
Yes.
That's the fascinating part about it. If you begin to understand, if you look at the Jewish community have their own community center, their own markets, their own
everything.
Everything
you name
that you
it, they
can
got
honestly
it.
Think of.
That's right.
When you look at the Asian community, I heard this yesterday from Dr. George Frazier. And again,
and please look him up if you do not know who this gentleman is.
Awesome. What he said that if you go into the Chinese community or the Asian community, I'll put it that way because that encompasses everybody in that community. If you go into their restaurant, you'll see that they hire the cooks are Asian.
Yes, that's right.
The busboys are Asian. The waiters are Asian. The one that's at the cashier is Asian. The hostess is Asian. He say if you see, you go into one of their restaurants or one of their areas of business, and you see more than 3 blacks in there cooking, he said, get up and leave. Because the authenticity, that is how they do. They turn their money over in their community.
And you never hear anybody screaming discrimination about that
at all
within these communities.
Zero.
They hire only their own.
People.
And I've never heard anyone have a lawsuit against them saying, you know, you don't have any white people in here, or you don't hire any black people in here.
So true.
You never hear that. But, you know, when blacks want to do something, you know, it's, oh, you're discriminating. You're so selfish. You're hateful. But you have all these other communities that are just that community.
That are doing it.
But a black community, anybody black who stands up and says, I want to do a black town, or I want to do just a black restaurant. I'm going to hire only black employees. It's a huge problem.
Even our for our own community.
Yes, even
our own people. We battle each other over
this,
something like that.
Over this problem.
From a grocery store, from a beauty supply place, from a restaurant, from a you name it.
I mean, really, we have a fractured mindset.
That's it.
We are so hurt and we've been so divided against each other that we can't even agree what is good for the Black community. There's always someone, well, what about this? Yep. What about that? We are talking about a Black community as a whole in the United States. When you look at it that way, yes, we have a lot of issues within ourselves, within our nation that we have to correct. And that's when you take personal responsibility.
And that's the thing is my saying, we hate on each other.
Too much.
That's the part that just blows my mind.
Too much.
I mean, that's why we don't feel like it. We see ourselves as initially with the T. It's going at it alone. Because every time you turn around, I don't care if it's from, in sports, some of the athletes and how they're going, you got people hating on that.
Yes.
If you look in the music industry, you got people hating on that. In the entertainment realm, you got people, medical, you got people hating on that. When it comes to us, and that's the part that is that's what inspired the T, because this is the talk. That's that hard talk that needs to be had.
That has to be had.
That a lot of people are not willing to do. We always want heaps of praises and, we want immediate gratification.
Yes, with no admonishment.
At all.
We
don't understand what delayed gratification is. And that's what the T is about. I mean, I remember when, I had, we have our children, when my son was young and he wanted, I would tell him a bunch of different stories, whether it's Disney and I decided to write a book for him. Well, my son now is 23 years of age, going to school for our son for animation. Mm-hmm. So that book, I decided that I'm going to give that to him. Make it a living legacy. Pass something on of value that he can get inspired around and he can do. He can still do his own thing, but he knows that I'm entrusting something to him that I created for him. And I hope that he would do it. That's what other communities do. Yes. They teach their children at a very young age, whether it's finances, education, starting your own business, entrepreneurship, finances, respecting of elders.
Yes, which is a big one, which has totally disappeared. Totally. And that was one of the cornerstones of the Black community. Mm-hmm. We respected our elders. And even if you didn't like them, you respected the position that they held. You might not like the person, but you respected the position. You would never call your auntie out of her name.
True.
You would never tell Miss Dottie down the street just to shut up or go on about your business. When they said something, it was law in the Black community. Now you got these moms where you can't tell these bad behind kids nothing. No, I don't care if they're out there stealing. If Miss Dottie came out the corner and said, "Baby, put that back," the mom now comes out yelling at Miss Dottie, knowing the child is in wrong. This is the problem in the Black community. We were a tribal people before we got here. Oh, yeah. The community was a village. We all took care of the children, each other, and our elders. Right. We have lost that, trying to put on the lies of our oppressors. And now we are just losing ourselves altogether. Yeah. We need to get back to respecting the Black community. Mm-hmm. The children needs to get back to respecting the elders. Yeah. Those who are in Generation X, we got to be prepared to take the torch to become the next elders. Yeah. There is a lot of work to be done, but you are personally responsible for what you do in your community, what you do with the people you hang around, to make our community better.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that holds true for everything that you can quite possibly think of. And that's where the T is. The T, I mean, we're basically saying that our household, we see areas in our household that needs to be in order. We know we're not alone in this.
Yes.
It's just something that we decided to have this conversation. And, we have a sincere desire to hear what our community is talking about.
Right.
Now, again, whether we get people that give us good responses, because we have been hearing some tremendous things, on the T on Instagram when Maya posts and people saying thank you for the support and
Yes.
giving us a shout out and some love for small businesses. Just inspiration even on the Facebook page that we have.
Right.
People saying thank you and support. And sometimes that's all that you need. I mean,
Yeah.
fellas, when we walking through the streets, all we do is with acknowledgement. We give each other a simple head nod. And
Right.
that's truly saying, hey, how you doing?
Yeah. I see you. I recognize you. We're in this boat together.
True.
You ain't alone out here.
Along those lines.
Yeah.
And also the ability to be able to share and to teach one another. Sometimes when I'm just sitting down and I might be talking about finances, I mean, we might start on the topic of sports. Mm-hmm. But then we'll flow into politics, flow into finances and investment.
And then all of a sudden we're looking on the computer, getting information. Well, what about this and what about that?
That's it.
But one thing about us that when we have these conversations, we're not just trying to encourage and uplift you. Mm-hmm. We are encouraging and uplifting ourselves. We are also seeking wisdom from you and knowledge from you because like Chauncey says, we don't know it all. Right. But one thing we do in this household, if we see a problem and we acknowledge there's an issue, no matter where it is, we find a solution and we do it right then and there. We put a practice into place and say, okay, this is what we're going to do and this is when we're going to do it.
And like I say again, that comes from, love and marriage. That comes from the finances. That comes from family. That comes from education. The various people that we listen and talk to, like Maya showed me a website yesterday about the young lady.
Women CEO Project. Awesome work. It is. She's doing some great stuff out there for, business women out there starting your business.
And it just sits there and it shows us what we need to do, as we are inspiring, as we get older. A lot of us are in the workplace. Mm-hmm. I hate that to be said when it comes to this technological phase, when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to, owning your own business.
Right.
The black community, it's not that we was late to the game. It skipped somehow, some way, because a couple generations back, when you talk about Black Wall Street,
right?
When you talk about, at the Emancipation Proclamation, and when you had free slaves or free black people, and they didn't have nothing but the clothes on their back or whatever they could do, they pulled together, and some may have gone back to the plantations or whatever,
but others went forward.
Those that moved forward, they learned how to build that. And a lot of times they got taken advantage of. So I'm just saying, like right here, 21st century, here we are, and we're sharing the knowledge, the wisdom, and understanding that we have about what's going on. A lot of us are working, getting up, doing the 9 to 5 or doing the thing. But some of us are sparking out on the internet and doing our own thing.
Yes.
And learning how to do it. We just want to connect.
Yes.
We want to build that web. That foundation net that helps everybody.
No matter where you're at.
We want people to see that, talking about things are ideal, becoming like-minded.
Yes.
And some, things that are proactive, that are positive. Working in the government, I see it every which way, from human capital to budget to to property to travel. All of those things work. And if you start it in your household, and you start having a conversation and you build something to grow, and you learn how to make that work for you, as Maya and I are doing. Yes. As you get older and you separate from those jobs, you're not looking for the next job, because you can then build
into your own
thing.
That's right. That's right.
You can have a foundation already built and set. So again, that's what we're saying is going on with the T. Like I say again, I'm your host, Chauncey Anderson.
And I'm your co-host, Mayaka Anderson.
And folks, all we want you to do, one, if you could do us a favor, go out to Facebook to the _T and give us a like on that.
And definitely share. Please share.
Truly.
And hit us up on Instagram, hashtag the T7, and follow us on there. Mm-hmm. We always promoting and uplifting different black businesses on there. And just, uplifting and our unity in our black community,
True. And on the next show, our hope, the things that we're going to shoot to do is jump into love and marriage. That's one of the beautiful topics of, about married couple and the things that we love. Whether you're single, whether you're married, you're going through divorce,
thinking about it, dating, doing whatever.
You exclusive.
Yeah, definitely for you. We definitely want to get out there and talk.
It's
Yes.
gonna be some things. Wait till you how we came together. I can tell you this. Spicy.
Oh my gosh, you need to stop. Don't listen to this one.
Fellas, wait till I tell you some things. It was powerful. Oh, didn't touch it for 3 months.
Oh, I tell you, this is it. We were definitely meant to be. But
Yes,
we just
indeed.
thank you for joining us,
yeah.
and we look forward to seeing you next time on the T.
Peace, fam.
Bye, fam.